Hello. Today we'll be talking about Alibaba and why it's become a success in China and what could potentially allow it to become a success in the United States.
Critical to answering these questions, we will be talking about who Alibaba is, what their aspirations are in the Chinese and US markets, what we think they will likely be entering the US market, and why the US market is potentially a good candidate for them.
And my name is Sean Lynch.
My name is Farhan Malik.
The uniqueness of Alibaba's platform has been a runaway success in China. As you can see here, there's a large variety of different products that can be purchased. With its bare-bones interface, questionable quality, and massive network of suppliers, it has been able to fit the needs of the manufacturers and consumers of China for cheap goods and supplies fast, as well as high-end goods. The essential strategy that by creating a platform where all people in the market can freely exchange the possibility to procure goods at whatever scale and quality is profitable to them, could greatly increase the participation in the market in the US.
Alibaba is looking to be an Amazon competitor, but with an extremely important caveat that Alibaba Group's main goal will be to allow US small businesses a voice to compete with the giants of the developed world. Alibaba will serve as a platform that connects us not only to other suppliers in China, but also other suppliers in India, Africa, the Middle East, and even next door suppliers and customers that we didn't know existed.
Where does Alibaba come from, and why have we not heard about it in the US? The group began in 1999 when Jack Ma founded the website Alibaba.com. Named after the character Alibaba from the book 1001 Arabian Nights, the initial appeal was the term open sesame, the idea being that it was going to be a portal to open up the Chinese manufacturers with overseas buyers.
Jack Ma was one of the few in China who saw the value of the internet in commerce early on. He was modest in upbringing, education, failed the National University entrance exam twice, but possessed an entrepreneurial spirit. Learned English early in the life and started own translation business in 1994. Started Alibaba inside his apartment, investing everything he had in the company.
But the real question is, when did Alibaba transition to being a viable competitor on the world stage and in the US from just being the Amazon of China? The answer to this is critical to the penetration that Alibaba would have in the US market, and that is because it was from Alipay. Alipay provides a critical payment process that is necessary for both the supplier and the buyers in the business-to-business retail markets. Alipay allows multi-currency conversion that can easily and with security provide payment services to both ends of the deal, as well as assurances on quality of product. This is essential to the US market to ensure that we're able to buy and sell goods with the Chinese market and still get a fair price.
On the screen here, you can see a large number of other ventures that Alibaba has invested in that make it similar to Amazon in the US, a heavily entrenched company.
The importance of this is that, as you can see with something like Taobao or Tmall.com, this doesn't necessarily have to be a direct competitor with Amazon. However, it already has the sort of environment that could allow it to be competitive with Amazon. And we believe that because it has this environment already, it's in a great position to possibly penetrate into the US market, or at least be a viable competitor.
In order to understand when they will be entering the US market in a big way, we need to examine the history of Alibaba.
In December 1999, Jack Ma and 17 others founded and released their first online marketplace, Alibaba Online. As we've mentioned before, this was entirely in China and had little to do with the US market. But rapidly after that, in 1999, Alibaba Group raised a staggering $25 million from investors SoftBank of Japan, but Goldman Sachs and Fidelity of the US. So from the beginning, it's had a US backing. Over the next several years, from 2000 to 2002, Alibaba started building their business model. They had explosive revenue growth, particularly in the small business-to-business to manufacturer market. By 2001, Alibaba.com achieved profitability, which was astonishing considering the amount of money they were pouring into their platform. By 2003, they launched Taobao, which was essentially the competitor to Amazon, a consumer e-commerce platform that was founded explicitly for the Chinese market. Whereas today we often associate Chinese consumer products with low quality, one of the essential parts of Taobao and the entire Alibaba marketplace was the slow incremental increase in the quality of products that were going to be produced. By October 2005, Alibaba Group took over the operations of China Yahoo. This is an incredibly important strategic partnership with Yahoo, because not only did Yahoo believe that Alibaba could potentially be an important part of the Chinese market, it also showed Alibaba's aspirations to be not just an online web portal for companies looking to sell products, but also an online web portal for things such as cloud-based computing, which is one of Amazon's primary revenue sources. In November 2007, Alibaba successfully listed on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange. This is also critical because Hong Kong Stock Exchange allowed extra capital from outside of the country to be able to affect the valuation of Alibaba over time. In September 2008, Alibaba Group R&D Institute was established. This R&D Institute was devoted to trying to bring new and exciting ways of bringing the small business market into the rest of the world. By January 2009, the global growth equity firm General Atlantic invested $75 million to push it over its next hump in growth in order to achieve proper profitability. By May 2010, they announced a plan to earmark 0.3% of its annual revenues to fund environmental protection initiatives. In 2010, there was major environmental problems in China. The key part of this 0.3% of the annual revenues is showing that Alibaba is ready to be a national and global company. Just like in China, their commitment to the environment, we believe that this commitment to the environment will also show a commitment to the social welfare of America once they invest here. By 2012, they decided to reverse course and take its publicly traded Alibaba.com private, and they delisted from the Hong Kong Stock Exchange. A lot of this had to do with some questions about the way in which they wanted to do the stock offerings. The key part of this is that they wanted to make sure that Alibaba was able to be treated like any other westernized company. In particular, because this could allow it to be a multinational corporation like many of the giants that they'd be competing with. By September 2013, Alibaba denies abandoning the Hong Kong in favor of the US IPO, however, because of the Hong Kong's exchange refusal to allow a dual-class share structure, like I was mentioning. In March 2014, they began the process of filing for an initial public offering in the US, and in September 2014, Alibaba had the largest IPO ever and raised $21.8 billion for the company and their investors. As I said, it was the biggest US IPO in history, and even after that, they raised an additional $3.2 billion from their entrenched investors, the underwriters. In October 2016, Jack Ma made a speech that was very integral for the understanding of when they're going to be entering into the market. In that speech, Jack Ma claims that the Alibaba Group has created more than 30 million jobs in China. Going forward to today, Jack Ma has recently met with Donald Trump in January of 2017. His commitment in that meeting was to create 1 million jobs in the US, primarily focused around increasing the existing production capacity in the US and opening up the market to the rest of the world.
What is going to make Alibaba so successful in the US market is the resources that they have from their successful businesses already existing.
So as you can see here, their existing shareholders and assets, as well as the group, the China Smart Logistics, Aliyun.com, Alimama.com, marketplaces, and Alipay are all going to be a key aspect for taking their expertise in marketplaces and taking it and putting it into the US. While many of these names, except with the exception of Yahoo, are not familiar to us today, these are major global players that could really allow them to penetrate into the US market while still maintaining a powerful structure abroad.
With over 350 million users and over 45% of the revenue growth expected for 2017, they have an incredible ability to spend capital to make sure that they enter the market correctly.
Critical to all of this will be working with the existing US manufacturers to help them both to locate suppliers and vendors in the existing Alibaba network, inside and outside the US. The key here is to think that, well, you could use our existing suppliers in China, or you could understand that small businesses are underserved in the US. You might have someone next door to you that you didn't even realize could supply you the part and could be at significant cost savings. By providing this platform, Alibaba is entering a unique aspect of the B2B business. The final piece that brings Alibaba closest to us is the launch of various similar applications like Amazon, indicating its clear implication to eventually compete with Amazon on a global stage and potentially in the US. They launched cloud computing, environmental initiatives, mobile application development, an OS for mobile phones, and had acquisitions of investment stakes in several US companies, as well as work with major US banking firms prior to the IPO that finally came in 2013.
The returns that they will be able to realize from this launch have been critical to their ongoing success and will create market viability in the highly standardized US market, even when they're entering it against the dominant player, which is Amazon.
As you can see from this slide, they have had explosive revenue growth year over year. In addition, it's critical to understand that this revenue growth is displayed according to GAAP, which is critical for them to be able to participate and compete against Amazon. In conclusion, Alibaba has already in many ways prepared itself for entering into the US market. Not only has it created a presence on the stock exchange, which you can see here, it has also generated a lot of news coverage. It is important to note that Alibaba is looking to go beyond what Amazon does and not just be a competitor. It is not just going to be a place for consumers to buy goods, but rather potentially a place that transforms the US and global business-to-business market and potentially leads to a massive boom in productivity by bringing in more possibility to both the US and other markets abroad. Thank you so much for your time. Once again, this was Sean Lynch.
And this is Farhan Malik.
Thank you.